This week on Dig Me Out.
I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a woman. I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a woman.
With your hosts, Jason Diaz and Tim Minichi.
Jay, we're back again with another episode thanks to our Dig Me Out Union on Patreon. Join the union to vote on albums, pick one to discuss with us on the show, get access to bonus episodes, and our private Discord community. Keep the podcast ad-free and make the next episode happen by joining us at digmeoutpodcast.com. Jay, we've got another patron-selected episode for this week. Joining us to discuss a band that I had not heard of, and I'm going to place heavy wager that you did not hear this. I would be willing to bet my Bills fandom that you had not heard this band before it was brought to us.
You'll get to keep it. Although I was contemplating, I'm kind of surprised you didn't go with the name Charm Farmer.
Oh, Jay.
Or the Charm Farmers.
The Charm Farmers. Like karma farming?
Yeah, that feels a little more 90s to me.
Well, that's let me just go through some of the previous picks of our guest who I'm going to interview. It's been a long build up to introducing our guest. But you might remember our guest from such previous episodes. I'm not going to mention all the roundtables he's brought to the table, but I will mention that one was let's see. And these are not enough in numerical order. Okay, last year was it Big Hate? Last year, is that what we talked about? You're soaking in it?
It was.
And then the year before that was 2023. So that would have been Kylie Minogue's Impossible Princess.
Which I missed out on.
That's right, because you were ill.
Yes.
Before that, it was Swagger by Gun. And then PHUQ by the Walter Hearts, the Wild Hearts, and then Mac Avenue Skull Game by Big Chief, and Sunday Morning Music by Thornetta Davis. And I mean, there's a ton of roundtables and various episodes that you've joined us for. But yes. Welcoming back to the show, Mr. Phil Fleming. Phil, glad to have you with us. What have you brought to this episode?
I brought this little obscurity, a band out of Detroit called Charm Farm, or as we Bostonians say, Charm Farm. This was and the record is called Pervert, and or Pervert. I thought this one would be a little would be a challenge for you two. So I mean, there were several contenders, but this one stood out.
Well, I always like when people want to challenge us. I feel like my not authority, that's not the right word, but my expertise is being called into question. Like, let's see what you can do with this. Hands me a broken Rubik's Cube and says, figure it out. I will solve this Rubik's Cube. No, I love these kind of records. I love the ones that we don't know anything about. Jay and I have never heard of Charm Farm or Charm Farmers or Charmers Farm. Or Charmers Farm would be the name of a farm in Ohio where you go to pick apples in the summer, and then in the fall they have a pumpkin patch. Right. Come on down to the Charmers Farm. Got your cider?
And it's kind of funny. I just recently discovered a band called Chalk Farm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that band.
Came out right around the same time, too.
A lot of bands farming in the 90s out there. There was a band called the Farmers, maybe, or the Farm. No, it was the Farm.
The Farm, yeah.
Yes. So there's a bill right there. The Farm, Charm Farm, and Chalk Farm. Get them all together.
That's a tongue twister.
Get them all on get them all
The
on
free
Willie's.
from
Get them on Willie Nelson's
Farm
farmer's
Aid.
Farm Aid. Yeah. So this album we're going to talk about, Pervert, was released in 1995 originally by PRA Records. Now you're probably like, PRA Records? It was a very I don't want to say short-lived. I mean, it was around for a while.
Yeah, a
It has
little
about
while.
90 releases. It was around from the 80s until the 2000s, like 2010s, and a number of different artists throughout the years. It was owned by Patrick Rains, who I'm not entirely sure. I know he was like a manager, but I don't know like if they were distributed by somebody else. But this record ended up getting re-released or at least distributed by Mercury the following year.
Yep.
This was not their first album. The first album came out in 1989. That was called Unharmed. That was self-released. And that was like a 9-song, could have been an EP, but it was I think they have listed as an album. And then they released on the PRA Records label in 1993 that released the album Flirt. So you go from Flirt to Pervert. So we have an escalation of their behavior over these records. There was a single released for this by Mercury, Superstar, and there's a video which you can watch for Superstar, which I did watch, and we'll get to later. They also had a couple other singles for the first record, and what was the other one? Oh, it was Sick. Sick also had a video and a single.
Yep.
So, and there's a B-side to that if you're into the Charm Farm. If you want to farm some bonus tracks, that's where you can go and get them from those singles. This was a 6-person band, according to the pictures of their CD.
Oh my gosh.
Taj Bell, Mike Clark, Eric Meyer, Ken Roberts, Dennis White, Dino Zoyes, Steve Zaccaro. That might be more than 6. Dennis White appears to be like the main guy, who I believe is the singer, but he's also credited with like every instrument. So I think he is the leader of this operation. You can check him out in the video. He's like a bald guy, or not bald. He shaved his head, and he might play guitar. I don't know. Well, he plays guitar on the record at least. So
he does.
When did you discover this band, Phil? How did you get into them?
It was during the 2 weeks that the Superstar video aired on MTV. I believe it was on 120 Minutes like 2 or 3 times, and found the CD just randomly in some used store.
Mm-hmm.
And I just every song hit for me. So, and it as we'll go on, we'll probably get into Superstar a little bit.
Oh yeah, one of the big single, I guess you'd say, because that was the one that was on TV.
It actually aired on MTV a couple of times, and and it's funny, I didn't even know Flirt existed up until about 10 years ago. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, nobody else did either, so you were not alone.
Yeah. Well, thanks iTunes.
Yeah. We have a poll up over at Patreon where the album Better EP Decent Single, like we do for every episode, and we will share the results at the end of the show when we give our final determination. But we did get some comments on this episode. Keith Miller said, I really like this. It reminded me of Boot Sauce a bit. I have no idea who Boot Sauce is.
Nope.
You're gonna have to fill us in the Discord, Keith, on Boot Sauce. But I don't really think I've ever heard anything like this. Super interesting pick. Singer has a great voice. Gavin said, this is such a great DMO pick. I've never heard of them, and it's an interesting sound. I liked it, but when in an EP, as I had enough of their sound about after 25 minutes. I preferred the first few songs that rocked a bit more than some of the Jamiroquai and Black Eyed Peas leaning that came through later on, but great choice. Black Eyed Peas, that's an interesting
That is an
comparison.
interesting comparison.
And then Darren Leach said, I thought Spotify had accidentally played a disco track when track 4 started playing. Looked at my phone screen. Nope, it was the track Superstar playing. This ended up being my favorite track, but a decent single for me.
Ooh.
So we know that there's at least one decent single.
Yep.
Let's see how this is all going to shake out. Jay, what are your thoughts? What worked for you on the album Pervert by Charm Farm?
It's an ambitious sound. You got, obviously you said 6 people in the band, and I guess that kind of comes across in the recording. You know, I thought these were all overdubs, but it's very layered. So there's a lot to take in sonically, but you know, it's all built around, for the most part, you know, 70s, and to me what sounds like 70s and 80s pop songwriting. So I hear some like David Bowie glam influence in here. In terms of that, you know, I think more peer comparisons would be like Space Hog, would be a band that came up a lot for me in terms of like how he sings, and like there's an overall spacey aspect to this, which I think is also what's making it unique. The layering comes across with all the reverb and sort of the big drums, and there's a lot of use of keyboards and synths, and even unconventional use of instruments like bagpipes that drone and kind of create this whole layer. There's use of horns here that are reverbed out and take on a different sort of flavor than you would expect, you know, that what horns would bring. And I think it just gives this ambiance of almost like a space rock kind of production, but the songwriting isn't, it's more pop, you know, so it's not like Failure where the songs are, you know, they're hooky, but they're more, you know, technical and heady. These are produced in a kind of, I guess, Bowie Space Hog kind of production, like ambitious, all kinds of different weird sounds you don't expect, lots of reverb, layering. You know, it's fairly, you know, dynamic, and I wouldn't say it's operatic, but it's dramatic at times.
Oh,
So I like how it, you know, is grounded in that, for the most part, you know, hooks and melodies, but it's doing it in a way that doesn't sound like anybody else. You know, the way that they're putting these songs together. I think the big parts of that are, there's some great guitar parts on here that are sort of more like melodic lines or clever little riffs or pieces and parts. One great one is the song Sick. It's just got an amazing guitar hook in that song. And it's just, I think, emblematic of, it's got an octave effect, so it sounds a little, you know, different. It's buzzy. It's super hooky. It plays well with the vocal.
This is not the way I wanted to say goodbye. This is not the way I wanted it to end. Here I see your eyes closed forever now. Baby, you're the lucky one that got to go. Hey. This is not the way I think the world would be.
This is a good example of their sense of melody and, you know, how to use sounds and layers and effects to kind of create their own uh, overall sound. I think the last thing is the vocals. I think also help it stand out. Um, Vocally, I don't know. It's like almost like a baritone at times, pretty deep. Again, it made me think of Space Hog. It also made me think of like Urge Overkill. That sort of vocal approach. It can get pretty weighty and almost soulful at times. But then there's also a lot of harmonies going on here that layer it and make it a bit more unconventional. So they're it's not a straightforward vocal all the time. Some of the tracks are more straight than others, but for the most part, the vocals are there to serve the songs, deliver the melodies, and work with the guitars to kind of build this whole construct. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. There's piano. I think the first track has a DJ on it. Lots of weird horns, all kinds of interesting guitar sounds. The drums change too. So just almost every song has a signature thing in it that really stands out, an instrument or part or line or section to kind of, I think, elevate what are, at their core, pop songs, So I like that blend of ambitious approach with, at their core, trying to deliver a hook, which is what made the 90s fun. So that's what worked for me. How about you, Tim?
Well, I listened to this for a while without looking up anything about the band, because oftentimes I'll do the first listen and then I'll go, all right, what's the deal with this band? And I was like, all right, this is so weird. I don't want to even know. I don't want to know what these guys look like. I don't want to know how many people are in this band. So in my mind, I had built this this very 90s take on a glam, like a T-Rex style band. Like even some of the song, like the song Pervert has it almost has a not a lo-fi, it has a restrained version of like Bang a Gong feel to it to me. The just the overall vibe of the way he sings, the vocals are very interesting. Like you said, Jay, he's got like a lot of stuff going on with doubling and harmonies, but then also his lyrical choices are interesting. I mean, you get the first three songs, I'm a man, pervert, and sick. These are not, I mean, these are not 95, 96 pop songs. These are very weird in that respect. I see why they went with Superstar as the single and try to catch like a little, maybe like lightning in a bottle with oh, that's cool. They're doing a rock band doing a disco song. Like I could see that being the justification in 1996 when Mercury is trying to break this band. Like just doing a straight guitar grunge thing isn't happening anymore. You need to come up with the hook of something unique and interesting. So Superstar kind of, I guess, makes that happen. Although there were a lot of bands writing songs with Superstar in the title at this point. I mean, I think we had Sweetwater had a song called Superstar. Yeah, there's a couple of them out there during this period.
I'm pretty. I'm a pretty, pretty baby doll. And I wanna be a superstar. Alright, get to the factory. Okay, hang out with Andy. Alright, got my mascara. I'm hot. I wanna dare you to watch. I got my money on. I got my favorite song.
I really enjoyed the glammy aspect of this band, in a sense that like I'm a man. That song, if like you could give that to like a glammy kind of 70s, late 70s, early 80s band. And I feel like it would, the way you produce it, it would sound right to the era. Um, and this whole record, like you said, Jay, there's a lot of interesting things that are not glammy, that are weird and psychedelic almost in certain parts, which is where I think it's the space rock
Yeah,
was coming in for you.
Sometimes, yep.
It just gets heady, and I was not expecting that. It's a really interesting listen that over and over again, you just hear like more weird things happening, and especially with headphones, and then it just changes the perception of it. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, that it was, each song is kind of going in its own direction, but you have this very unique frontman who I imagined was like, like a Mark Bolan like type character, and he looks like he programs computers when you watch the video. Like he looks like he would be working at Nationwide with Chip in the IT department. He doesn't look like like the guy I imagined in my head. I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna look like some glammed up 70s dude, but no, that's not what he looks like. So, Phil, what works for you that you brought this to us? What works for you on Pervert?
I mean, the thing that struck me when I got this record back in '96 was that I just love that every single song is so different from the previous. The like one or two things connecting everything together is the baritone vocal and the guitar playing. Um, I mean that sort of thing is a constant through the whole prod record. But for me, it was definitely a right place and right time. Um, but I mean, I could totally see why it didn't really do much at the time because I mean, 95, 96, they're you're still dealing with, the slow pop popification. That's not even a word. How you're seeing that, the post grunge turning into, the new pop music, where you're seeing the manufactured bands that, you have a pop band, give them a guitar distortion pedal, and boom, there you go. Um, this was definitely not that kind of record, and I mean, I could also see the people who heard Superstar say, "Oh, what is the rest of this?"
Hmm.
Because there is nothing like Superstar on the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
album. I mean, there might be tiny elements uh, like a programmed drum sample, or a keyboard line or something like that. But yeah,
Were you were you wanting more of that when you trying to get back into like your experience of hearing that song or see it on MTV and then picking up the record? Is that what you were hoping you would get more of?
um, not necessarily. I mean, I was kind of expecting, kind of peppy, sardonic lyrics. Um, but then I heard Sick, and
Mm,
I'm like, "Ooh, my God, this is heavy." And
yeah.
then there's Terminal on on the second half, which is even heavier.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, um, yeah, like I said, like right place, right time. It just hit every emotion I had going from start to finish. So,
And this is a good record for that, considering it's kind of all over the place in terms of its sounds. Like the drums on "With You Forever" sound like they're off that
I
Cult
love that
album.
drum sound for some reason.
It sounds like the snare hits from Drug Tongue coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's that really echoey. I don't know what they're doing with the, but it's such a different snare sound from the rest of the record,
Yeah.
which is unusual. Usually, like a drummer has a sound, and you kind of stick with that. You might make minor adjustments here and
Well,
there, but to completely change the snare sound is wild.
if you just listen to as that track starts, one, it's a dramatic shift from Superstar to go to that track, just
Oh God, yeah.
sonically.
Mm-hmm.
And as it starts, if you listen to the tones, I mean, those are tones you would hear on an industrial album. Now, as they come together as a song, it doesn't sound like an industrial
No, it
song, but like
doesn't.
the guitar is like
The
mechanical and
whatever effect is
abrasive.
on the guitar, yeah.
And then the drums come in and it's like that. I mean, the snare sounds like somebody hitting a sledgehammer in a factory. I mean, yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds, the Cult used a similar sound on that album, but it's a very abrasive kind of mechanical sound, which is interesting coming out of Superstar, which isn't like that at all.
No.
Um,
Yeah, and Pain has a kind of an industrial-ish feel to parts of it. Like it starts out, it's kind of atmospheric,
mhm.
and then when it gets loud, like, oh, this kind of sounds like Nine Inch Nails almost in
Yeah.
some respects.
Tell me how to make it go away. Tell me there's a cure for my pain. Tell me why it hurts to be alone. Tell me when it's everybody.
So that was it's takes a little bit of getting used to because they're really jumping a lot from song to song. Jay, is there anything that doesn't work for you on this record?
Well, it gets a little muddy. I think for being trying to make a record this ambitious with this many people and this many like layers, it's a mixing challenge. So there are some times, particularly like I'm the Man was one that stood out to me as like not quite mixed well. And part of that might be I'm not sure I love the use of the harmonized vocals. They do probably half the songs on here where it's a low part in a sort of regular part. So they're like a low baritone part and then his regular voice.
Like it's pitched down or something.
I don't know, but it's like doubled. And I'm a Man is a good example of that. And that song to me is like supposed should be like a totally high energy kind of really like sharp, live room, like in your face.
Mm.
And because of the layering and like the doubled vocal, it starts to feel, I don't know, a little overproduced. So there's some moments on here where I think the production is working great. And then there's other moments where things feel a little on the muddy side and I just want a bit more punch or clarity. Um, like I said, sometimes the vocals are a little buried in terms of too much production. When he just sings like without effect, I'm like, that's great. I just want to hear more of that. And then there'll be other tracks where they do the harmonies, and I usually love harmonies, but it feels like he's a good enough singer that they don't need to use them as much as they are. Um, some of the I don't love Superstar. Uh, it reminded me of Electric Six. So in some ways, I will commend this band for being
Mm-hmm.
5 years ahead of them or whatever. But that's essentially what they did, right? I mean, and they made a whole band that sounds like Superstar.
Yeah.
So it just is really, in terms of sequencing, where it sits, Sick creates this like, it this expectation for me. Like the album kind of starts off slow, then you hit Sick, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. Like that song's got an amazing groove. It sounds really good. Like the production's on point. That guitar hook is great. I love the vocal. The bass playing is great. I like the drum. Like everything about that song for me is hitting. And then we switched to Superstar, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now I'm confused. Now this is starting to feel like a novelty band. Like, because they're not obviously not going to give me a whole disco record. So why am I getting a disco song?
Mm.
And then we switch after that with You Forever in Pain, which get into these darker tones, which we just talked about. Parts of that could almost be industrial sounding or Nine Inch Nails ish. So I'm just going back, looking at that song, where it's placed, how it fits in, what it sounds like. It's fine. I mean, I get it's kind of fun. And if I heard it as a one off, it would pique my interest, like what this band's about. But now that I can kind of see the other potential of what's going on here, I just want to hear more of that. And it doesn't really fit for me. So that song, I think Pervert sounds like Cream by Prince.
That's what it
Almost.
was. Yes. That was the other thing I was trying to.
Almost to the point where you could just drop a B Shabooty Bop in there and it is the exact same song.
And I know
mean, it is
exactly
almost
where you would
exactly the
put
same
it
song.
too.
I never thought that it would come to this. What I say to you cannot be dismissed. But I'm never gonna know what to do. 'Cause I feel so dirty when I think of you. I am a pervert, and you don't deserve it. I am a pervert, and you might have heard it. Hey mama, it's true when I'm thinking of you. I am a pervert.
So first half of the record, because of those two moments, I'm like, what is this band about? Like, I'm hearing a pretty straight up like Prince ripoff. I'm hearing a disco tune. Like, where are we going? And then it settles in and things start to make more sense. The second half of the record, and Sick connects to those songs, I think, better. So it's a mix of, I think, sonically and stylistically, there's a bit of muddiness here that could be cleaned up. How about you, Tim? Anything at work?
Well, I like the first six songs, the first half, even though they're wildly different from each other in a lot of ways. I think that they, as individual songs, work really well. I think the back half to me slows down a lot, and that's what hurts the momentum of this record. You get that noisy little 20-minute long 120 117, the death of cosmonaut Komarov.
Yeah.
And then the back half just does not work for me as well as the front half of the record. The hooks aren't as tight. I don't remember them as well the way I do with I'm a Man or Superstar or Sick. Like those all lodge in my brain, whereas the back half does not work as well. And I think it's a lot of mid-tempo-y stuff. Like Tell Me's got like that strummy acoustic guitar, and I don't need a strummy acoustic guitar from this band. I mean, I understand it as like a layering thing, but I guess if you're gonna do that, just go out and do like a big bombastic ballad. Like I guess that's the one thing I thought was missing. Like where is there, like, for lack of a better term, power ballad? Like this is a band that could pull, to me, sounds like they could pull that off in the way that like Blur does the Universal,
Yeah.
or that like a big sweeping string and horn ballad, make it a Torch song. Like I feel like he could pull it off and do something like really dramatic, and it doesn't really come up. There's some slower stuff, but it's not really what I was like hoping for. Really, this is just a tale of two halves for me on this record. I really like the first half, and I found the second half to drag. It's also where a lot of the longer songs are.
Yeah.
Of the first six, there's about 4 minutes, almost 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4.5, 5:40, and then the back half, it's all like 5:40, 6:30, and then the hidden track is so it just gets long on the back half and not as interesting to me as the first half. So that's what didn't work. Phil, is there anything that doesn't work for you on the record?
Track 7.
Track 7.
I didn't understand the point of having that part like put in the middle there.
Mhm.
Even to this day, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because because how could I put it? Like the hidden track is like 8 minutes of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
And I didn't quite understand the point of it because it's just a sample of NASA chatter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't get it. But I can understand where you're coming from, like with because the back half is pretty much all more ballady material, and I do think that Desire kind of has that bombast.
Yeah, it gets louder at
Certainly
times.
helps with
Yeah.
the bagpipes.
Mm-hmm.
But the bagpipes and the big loud guitar underneath it. Um, but and for myself, like I personally hate ballads. Um, it's very difficult to find a ballad I genuinely love. But yeah, all four of the songs on the back half, just like I said, right place, right time, right sentiment in the lyrical matter. Um, so yeah, it just became something that I did absolutely did not mind, even though it just would not normally tick off any boxes for me. Um, but yeah, I'm looking at the track list right now. But yeah, all of it, all four of those tunes, the they have their big crescendos. I'll give them that. But yeah, as with most albums that we've all reviewed here over the years and everything else, for some reason like all the back halves always end up being the slower material. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I feel like you're spot on with that because I don't know if it's bands go, well, we need to put all like the strong material up front, and then this is going to be all the album material in the back,
Yeah.
or I don't know. Trying to recall back in the day of actually like being in a band and trying to figure out the running order of an album and
Yeah.
how that went down and how we debated it. I don't really remember that anymore. I'm starting to lose those core argument memories. Like, no, this has to go third. It's the big single. It's always the third song. You build them up and you slow it down, then you bang it, and like all those arguments over things that don't really matter.
Well, and CDs just made it harder.
Yes.
True.
Like without an A side and a B side, and without really much of a limit, or a hard limit,
Hmm.
you end up wandering. You're like, I don't know.
Well,
What should track 8 be? I don't know.
in the case of this one, track 7 definitely is that delineation point.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have some bands that do that.
but
I've seen that where it's like, oh, we have to create like a break in the middle of the record, and
yeah,
maybe that's
something
what they're
like
trying to
that.
do.
I mean, it, I'm not sure it would have benefited from a resequence though.
No, so I think if you just dumped 7 and then got rid of that hidden track because it's pointless.
Yeah,
And then you're looking at 10 songs, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's survivable to me. Like 10 tight songs. Yeah, maybe these need to be trimmed up a little bit. Like, not
Even with
everything needs
those,
to be 5.5 and 6 minutes long.
yeah,
Well,
because even with
in,
those
in
10,
1995, it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, both the singles were edited for MTV.
Which often happened.
Yeah.
That's
they were-
not surprising.
I mean, basically, it just like in the case of Superstar, I think it cut out the intro, that kind of like lo-fi-ish intro,
Mhm.
and it broke down, and it shortened the breakdown in the middle of the song with the trumpet and the Latin percussion and stuff like that.
Which are fine, but yeah, I can see cutting them for single purposes.
Yeah,
But let's be honest, like in terms of thinking about this in terms of 95, 96, either Superstar is going to hit or this album's not going to do anything. Like,
exactly.
that's, you're basically betting on that song to maybe break through somewhere. Maybe K Rock plays it or something. Like Jay said, like, with Electric Six, like, you just need one song to like sort of catch fire, which they did have one, that Danger
Danger High
song,
Voltage.
for like,
And-
a couple weeks.
And we
That was
saw,
a big deal.
we saw them at least a year or two before they broke, and they were called the Wild Bunch. Do you remember that band?
Yes.
And they were basically doing the same thing. I mean, it wasn't as well produced, but it was the same concept.
It was the same idea. Yep. We
I-
saw them
I-
in a
and
room.
I happen to like Electric Six a lot. So
Mhm. Yeah, I've played like Improper Dancing or Danger High Voltage for my daughter, and she's just like, "What in the hell is this?" Like, well, I mean, you get Cake, right? It's not that far off
Yeah.
from like a Cake, or
oh yeah,
it,
sardonic like Cake. Yeah,
I don't think she gets the very like in your face like yelling. Like Cake is kind of goofy, but
Yeah.
the guy from Electric Six is kind of yelling at you a lot. Fire at the disco! Like, and you're like, whoa, dude, relax. Also, that is such a time capsule
He doesn't
of,
do that. He doesn't do it nearly as much anymore. But yeah.
but like Jack White showing up on your, and you're like, oh, that's cool, it's Jack White. She's like, I don't care, I don't know who that is. Jack White's irrelevant to her.
He still denies being on that song.
Such a weird thing to deny. All right, let's.
But yeah, a record like this, it like Superstar was definitely a curious choice to showcase, especially since the rest of the record had nothing to do with it. Maybe With You Forever, and that's a stretch. Um, but yeah, it was. I mean, it was doing it. I guess it got enough buzz that there was a planned follow up.
So what you said, you knew what happened afterwards.
Yes.
What happened afterwards?
So, all right. So they had started a follow up to Pervert, and that whole Seagram's Universal merger happened in '98, where a whole bunch of bands ended up in limbo and being dropped and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, record ended up getting finished, and it was going to be released on Warner Brothers in 1999, and it was ultimately going to be released under the name Control Freak, FREQ. And I got a promo copy. I almost threw that one into consideration, but yeah, the album was never released. A single did come out on Warner. It was a little more electronic based. It was done on an electronic label through Warner. But the album ultimately never came out, and Dennis White ultimately started a completely separate thing under the name Static Revenger, where he was dealing more in remixes and dance music.
Yes.
He himself put out a record, I want to say 2004, 2005, called Love Song Surprise. which included reworked Control Freak material, and he put that on like '05, and now these days he's just strictly a DJ under the name Latroit.
Latroit. I saw his name pop
Latroit.
up on as a producer on some dance and
Yeah,
EDM albums and stuff like that.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he works almost entirely in EDM now.
I just want to say that this is not a good album cover. Um, I don't love
No,
the newspaper font that they've chosen from
it's
my
very
old.
local band looking.
It's very local band, and honestly, having been released on Mercury, they should have got a new cover for the Mercury release. Like somebody at Mercury should have gone,
Well,
let's just do the new album cover. This doesn't.
to be fair, that was still kind of the age where the major labels picking up this indie record, and they would just want to get it out as
Yeah,
quickly as possible.
they didn't want to invest anything. So,
Right. It's
yeah,
like
just to get a bigger audience.
we're already pumping 80 grand into the music video. What?
But
And
somebody at the label's got to go. This isn't going to move a single disc in the store if somebody looks at it. But if we have the right cover, someone might buy it just based on the cover. Like
And
you know what you know what I mean? Like when Chip
and then
talks
their
about
and their manager went, "Nah, ship it.
no,
If it
but
doesn't
like
work, we'll just ship another one."
put the band on the cover or something, or some sort of interesting picture. You have like this is just nonsensical. You got this face, and then there's like some Japanese writing, and it's just it's so local band. It's terrible. I expect more. But when you had MS Paint and that was it, I guess that's what you went with. You're like, guys, I can make a line, and then I can also do a block over here. So I figured out the. There you go.
I mean,
That's not what I would want
they
on the
look like
cover.
a local band.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they
They
not
look
have
like a local
anybody
band
saying
that
like?
hit a glam shop.
Yeah, they needed a good like smart manager to be like, no, guys, like let's put on some, I don't know, something. Like I don't need you to wear matching suits. You don't have to be the Hives
Yeah.
yet, but like let's try to like create an image. I understand that creating an image was not necessarily something that bands in the 90s did, even though they did create an image by not creating an image.
Hmm.
I'm wearing jeans and a flannel and Doc Martens. Guess what? That's an image. You're still
Yeah.
creating an image. No matter what you do, a bunch of teenagers are going to try to dress like you if you get popular enough. So pick something interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I just was like, from the start, I was like, God, that is a terrible album cover.
Well, they were trying to make the little smirky guy on the cover like a thing.
Oh, is that their Eddie?
Yeah, they were calling him Charmy.
Charmy. He's from the farm. That's Charmy from the farm. All right. Let's talk about our overall ratings on this record. Were the album better EP or decent single? Jay, where do you land?
I'm landing at an EP. I can't really say as strongly, I think, as you. It's the front or the back half. So my EP is a little bit of a mix. So I would choose Sick, With You Forever, Pain, Terminal, India, and Desire. That's roughly half the out record. And I think
Whoa.
that sort of hits the stuff that worked for me. Where you at, Tim?
Whoa. That was not what I was expecting. So you don't like I'm a Man?
Not really. It's okay. It's the format of that song is Blue Cheers, Summertime Blues,
Yeah.
which annoys me.
Okay.
The song structure of it. It's okay.
I feel like if you just adjusted the production a little bit, that would be a killer single. I don't like.
Well, there's that too. That's what I was saying. Like I
Right.
would want to re-record that song completely and just produce it totally different.
I want that produced like a Red Cross song, from the 90s.
I could hear that being a Red Cross song.
Yeah. But you're right. I do want like mostly the first 6 songs. I guess I would add Desire in there. That's probably the best song on the back half. So I would be at 7 songs, but I'm at an EP. It's a 7-song EP for me. Very big EP, but I think it's the solid one. Phil,
I'm biased, so
that's all right.
I mean, seriously, the only I would ditch track 7 and the hidden, and for me that, like I said, right place, right time. I'll say it over and over again with it. Um, that like for me, it was a low key masterpiece because it just touched every emotion I would have as a 21, 22-year old when it came out. And I at the time I was listening to this a lot because
Interesting.
it's very sentimental to me, I guess.
You might have been one of the few people walking around in 1996 with a Discman listening to Charm Farm on repeat. There might not have been a lot of people in the country experiencing that. Not you can't say that all the
everybody
time.
listening to this podcast had some weird CD in their Discman.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Isn't that what this podcast has been built
I know, but
on?
I think about how many times I had like Melancholy in my Discman, or I had an Our Lady Peace,
Yeah.
something. And I'm like, I know, like on the planet, someone else is listening to this right now at the same time. But when you're listening to this, you are almost guaranteed that nobody else on the entire planet, out of 7.5 billion people, is anybody else listening to Charm Farm, except for me and Jay, because we were prepping. So it was us, basically us 3. They're going to look at their streams. They're going to be like, whoa, our streams went up a ton this week. We got 50 streams, 60 streams of these songs. It's like, that's because Tim and Jay were listening to it. You get that bounce. It's an economic incentive
Yeah.
to be featured on our show.
And even crazier, the Superstar single like was released as a maxi single with a bunch of remixes and stuff. So imagine that even more out of field from the rest of the record.
Oh my gosh. Remixes of what? Of Superstar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And again, if you're going to pay for remixes, fix the album cover. That's all I'm saying.
It was a totally different cover for the single. But yeah.
Did it have Charmy on it?
Hey guys, I'm here.
I think Charmy would work if he had arms and legs, or at least legs.
He needs those fake like glove hands too, where he's like
big shoes on.
I'm Charmy and I'm a pervert.
He kind of looks like a
sick.
chiclet.
Now I want like a whole cartoon in one of their songs featuring Charmy, and he's just like this. He's like a horrible cartoon. Like he drinks and smokes and he swears, and the kids are like, "Hey, I want to hang out with Charmy." You're like, "No, you don't."
Original Towley.
Yeah, he's like Towley. You don't want to end up like me, kids.
Yeah, and knowing what came after this, yeah, they would have. I think they would have ditched the Charmy motif.
Aww.
I mean, the what was conveyed in Freak Show was even like more sentimental, and like there's a song called Sweetest Day that is just a out and out love song. And then there's a song called American Hero with 3 Ks.
Subtle.
Well.
Yeah.
Charmy got political.
Yeah, it was a little political.
Charmy fell in love and got political.
Charmy's gonna turn against the man.
But yeah, it leaned more into electronic and dance a little bit. Still had instrumentation, but yeah.
Charmy wants the boot off his neck of the capitalist machine.
Charmy, you don't even have a neck.
Shut up! It was taken from me by the tax man and his government thugs and their helicopters.
All right, you're having a little too much fun with this.
I love Charmy. This is my new favorite character. He's a conspiracy theorist. Charmy is like totally off the rails, living out in the woods like Ted Kaczynski. Anyway, let's get back on the rails.
Yeah.
And say that 2 better EPs and 1 worthy album over at Patreon. This is how it shook out. We did mention earlier that Darren Leach said he was going to go with a decent single. So it was 40% decent single, 40% better EP, 20% worthy album.
Okay.
So,
yikes. How many votes?
5 total votes.
Okay, so one voted for album. All right.
Yes.
And the decent singles were like, this ain't like Superstar.
Yeah, I mean, and Darren said it like that was his favorite song on the record, and then nothing else sounded like that. So if you're one of those people that like heard the song on the radio or watched the video, if you had a chance to listen to this whole record before buying it, you'd be like, well, none of this sounds like this. I'm not going to buy this record.
Yeah.
A listening booth would be the enemy of this album.
Oh yeah.
Whereas,
I mean, except for a twerp like me.
But there's the thing, like you bought it and then you said, oh, okay, there's more going on than just a disco band. There's like a whole range of sounds.
It certainly helped that, 95, 96 was, you still had those wonderful, cutout bins and $2 bins and things like that. I think I paid all $2 for it. I mean, I never did see like it commercially available. But yeah, it was just one of those, bargain bin finds that just hit the whole time. So yeah.
Happy to let you know that inflation has not struck the Charm Farm market, because you can go to Discogs and still pick up this record for about $2.
Yep.
So that's Charm Farm is insulated from any economic turmoil that the rest of the music industry or world in general might be experiencing. That's where you should probably hide your money if you're worried about it. Thank you for bringing this to us. This is, again, one of those records which you have brought to us in the past that we would have never found on our own. I mean, literally, this would have been impossible for us to even know about, considering how fast it was in and out of the marketplace. Yeah. So thank you once again. I mean, this is, amongst your, like last year with Big Hate and previous albums, always bringing something to us that's interesting and for the most part rocking.
I tried,
like different kinds of rocking, different flavors.
Yeah. Definitely a whole lot of different flavors of rocking on this.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, thinking about it, it's like the Wild Hearts and Gun, and those bands kind of held together thematically, I guess, or sonically.
Oh, definitely.
And this is probably the least sonically consistent record that you've brought to us, which is an interesting challenge. And I'm curious, as more people hear this record as the episode drops, what their thoughts will be if they didn't get a chance to listen to the album beforehand.
And I hope they do give it a shot. I mean, the misleading lead single, I'll give him that. But I definitely liked challenging. I just knew that nothing that I've brought here would be a full slam dunk. The only one that I knew would be close was the Wild Hearts.
Sure.
Because you two weren't that hot on the first record, but the second record was their finest hour. So that's why I brought that to you.
Yep.
That was the only one I knew you were going to have a better opinion.
I think we set it up that we were so disappointed in that first record, like, oh man, we should have loved this. And it just didn't work out. So it's like that was the perfect record to sort of turn us around on them. Go, okay,
Straighten our ass out.
this is all, now we've got it. Now we understand
Yeah.
why this band is cool.
But that's why I brought that one over.
You were saving us from our
Kylie Minogue was definitely to a deliberate curveball. But yeah, I mean I think that's the beauty of this particular podcast. And I mean you have your offshoots where you're going the more popular route, makes sense. But yeah,
we have to feed the algorithm.
yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like fishing. We got to fish with the big lures. This isn't going to lure in a huge amount the way that like Pearl Jam's 10 or No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom will lure. Although we think that, and then we don't even, sometimes we're shocked by the episodes that actually pull in a lot of the listeners.
Oh yeah. Like for the 80s Metal podcast, I'm still blown away how well the Icon episode did.
Yeah.
I
would not have accepted that. Nope.
Our top two most popular, one is Rush. Okay, get it. Second is Icon. Okay.
And we've done some name
maybe
bands.
Def Leppard? No.
Megadeth?
So you just never know, man.
No. It's what?
Same thing for the 90s. There's these like little records that they just click, and there's like this tap into this audience that exists that no idea was out there.
I have a feeling there's more 90s records that do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Icon has a long history.
Yeah.
Long frustrating history. But yeah, like something like this, like if there wasn't that previous album and then the demo tape, like people would have thought Charm Farm was one and done. So
yeah, well, yeah, I'd never heard of PRA records before this podcast, so that's not just an indie, that's like a tiny microscopic label in terms of people having awareness of them. So is what it, like there's no like PRA love the way there is like with Sub Pop or Merge or something like that, whereas like those are indie labels to a certain degree, but and can put out more adventurous, challenging stuff, but they have some notoriety as themselves.
That was a thing with the 90s. I mean, if the right band put out the right Minty Fresh, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, none of us would know what Minty Fresh was unless Veruca Salt got picked up by Geffen.
Yep.
And now Minty Fresh has I mean, it's still small, but it has a reputation and a decent distribution. So I mean,
it's rare, but it happens that those things survive. Well, thank you again, Phil, for bringing this to us. This was a lot of fun to listen to. And I want to remind folks that are listening, however you are listening, in your car, on a bike, on a train, some other device that moves you around,
on a cat with a hat,
maybe you're spelunking, I don't know, maybe we're in a cavern with you. Point being, if this episode brought back good memories or positive vibes, join us at digmeoutpodcast.com to explore our free archive of over 800 episodes, history of the band posts, and weekly new release roundups. Want more? Paid subscribers unlock bonus podcast episodes covering 70s, 80s, and aughts rock, new release reviews, and access to our private Discord community. That's digmeoutpodcast.com. And while you're there, suggest an album you think deserves to be featured on a future episode of Dig Me Out. For Jay, I'm Tim. We're out, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Dig Me Out.